What is good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of NBA to the Galaxy Pod with your hosts at RTR3011, otherwise known as Slim, and
Yes, sir.
myself at Scotty Drown on X, also known as just Scotty here on the show. But welcome back to another episode of NBA to the Galaxy Pod. We're going to get into a lot, obviously, of the playoff conversations. We had some coaching changes as well. We're going to start with here. And then we'll get into some predictions for tonight's NBA action. We got two big games tonight as well. But Slim, what is good, my man? Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you, my man. And I am happy to be here with you tonight. How you doing?
Yes, sir. Doing good, bro. Excited to be here to discuss what we've been seeing thus far in the playoffs, man. It's been an interesting past couple of days, but nonetheless excited to be here to discuss it. But yeah, I'm doing good, man.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. We got Darius Baypori checking in, my boy. Appreciate
Yo,
you. Yes, get involved in the comments tonight if you're watching, guys. That's what the show's all about. We want to get your thoughts in the show. It
yeah,
makes the
for
show
sure.
more fun. Darius thinks the Knicks and the Nuggets both get wins tonight. We'll get into our predictions towards the end of the show, but it's interesting. I think I like where one of Darius's picks are here, but I won't let you know which one that is just yet. But man, we do got a big game tonight. Two big games tonight. What before we start here? Which game are you more excited for tonight? Got two and two matchups tonight. Which one are you more excited for?
Say definitely the Nuggets and the Timberwolves matchup for sure. Yeah,
That feels like the NBA title contenders for real, and that one,
yeah, for
that's
sure.
those are the heavyweights. So I do feel you there.
Yeah.
Darius says even with the OG injury. Funny, Darius commenting on here right now, Slim. This is my man's in real life. He's a Lakers fan. So we're about to talk about coaching changes, coaching switches. Darvin Ham was that first name to drop, right?
Yeah.
As far as coaching changes this offseason. Frank Vogel with the Phoenix Suns replaced by Mike Budenholzer. So let's talk about that. First of all, and Darius, share your thoughts in the comments, my man. These are your Lakers. So are you happy that Darvin Ham was let go? Do you feel like he was a scapegoat? How do you feel about Darvin Ham being let go? But Slim, I'll throw it to you, man. Which one of these, first of all, was more surprising to you, or which one did you expect more? Maybe is a better question.
We said which one that I expect to happen.
Yeah, which one did you expect to happen more? Or which one caught you off guard the most? I guess
Um,
either or, whichever one.
Well, I say the Suns fighting Frank Rose definitely caught me off guard the most for sure. I mean, you kind of like sense the Darvin Ham thing eventually coming, like just the reports that you were seeing on social media and the way the fans was bashing him, just certain things like that. But I definitely did not expect for the Suns to fight Frank Vogel, especially saying like this those guys like first year together, like the big three. And I felt
Right.
like it was I don't understand like what was the reason behind it, like Frank Vogel's a defensive minded coach, right? No secret around the league. So in saying that, like he's a defensive minded coach, but you didn't put the right pieces around him, like to be
Right.
a defensive minded
Right.
team. Like your best defender overall, I would say Russ O'Neal. And with all due respect, that says a lot right there. Like, you
Yeah.
can't have like Book, Bill, KD, Allen, then Nurkic. Like it's not a
Yeah.
like nobody in that
That's
lineup
a
is
good
like
point,
just
man.
defensive minded. So when they fired the man, it was like it just ticked me off. Like I say, Kendrick Perkins, he did a pretty good job of like explaining how he felt about it, or whatnot. Because it's just like more so from an accountability standpoint, like from a player, like with
Yeah.
KD, and then it also like the GM as well. Like, are y'all going to hold yourselves accountable? Because I was reading another report said that Frank Vogel actually wanted a point guard, but the GM felt like it would take the ball out of Book, Bills, and KD hands, which is like crazy to see. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, it was just sad to see that happen, though, man. I feel like Frank Vogel, he's had enough with his tension with the Lakers or whatnot. Then for this to
Yeah.
happen to him is just crazy, man.
Yeah, yeah, he was on a short leash there, and when you think about the Suns, it's like there's two ways to think about it. You could think that maybe Frank Vogel's not like a great fit as the Suns head coach because he is defensive oriented,
Yeah,
or you can look at it like he's meeting this team in the middle because he is so defensive oriented. Maybe he could help this hyper offensively based team to be a better defensive unit, right? Like, and maybe that's what it was. Maybe the team butted heads with the coach and they just weren't buying into what he was selling. But I tend to agree with you. And that what you pointed out about a point guard, that's interesting to me because that's exactly what the Suns were missing come postseason. Like, Devin Booker is not a point guard. Bradley Beal is not a point guard. Devin Booker's a decent playmaker, but they're not point guards, bro. They're not point guards. So, how do you feel about the Budenholzer hire? Do you feel like it almost feels like they were just waiting for the season to end to do it because it was so quick?
I know,
but at
right?
the same time, he is one of the better candidates. So I'm not sure how you feel about that.
I mean, nonetheless, he is one of the better candidates that was left out there. But as you mentioned, Frank Vogel was fired, I think, on a Sunday. Mike had the job 2 days later, so you may be right there. Maybe they already had these talks and discussions. Who knows? But how I feel about Mike as the head coach for the Suns, it's interesting. I hope they don't expect him just to save this team. There has to be more works, more better roster construction, more defense, things like that. And it's interesting, man, because Bradley Beal has one of the more untradeable contracts in this league, man. And you gotta start to think, Scotty, eventually, man, between the big three, who's eventually going to go to the bench? Because I feel like you have to go out there and get a guard, as you mentioned, Book, Bill, Katie, those guys are willing passers and rightfully so, but none of those guys are true legitimate point guards, bro. You have to go out there and get a real point guard, man. Look at the Minnesota Timberwolves, what they're doing, Mike Conley, whatever. He's been good.
A veteran.
A veteran guy who can run the floor. And then also you need somebody to guard ball in that lineup. So it's interesting to see if Bradley Beal potentially comes off the bench or how they do it, man.
You know who I love for the Phoenix Suns, and this is going to be a guy that's going to be highly coveted this offseason around the league. I know the Sixers are a team that should be buying, trying to get this guy. But Alex Caruso, man, glue guy, right? Glue guy, can play the point guard, can play make, can do all the little things, and he can still score a little bit. I think he would be an interesting piece there. But like you said, man, you got Bradley Beal locked in. Mind you, I've experience with the worst contracts in the league because I've watched Tobias Harris for 5 to 6 years now. So I've experience with this. Bradley Beal is going to become the worst contract in the NBA. It's not going to be tradable to the point where you're not going to get enough back to just trade Bradley Beal, right? And that's the other side of it. You have KD locked in. You have Devin Booker locked in. You obviously don't want to trade either of those two. But then they extended Grayson Allen, right? They gave him a multi-year extension. Yeah. So, where is the money? How are you going to improve this team? And, do you consider trading one of Devin Booker or Kevin Durant? I think Kevin Durant is the more obvious contender for that. But do you consider it at all?
I know, right? It's just tough, man, because as you mentioned, Bradley Beal, his contract, man, is just going to become the most horrible one in the league. And also on top of that, he has a no trade clause. So
you're right. He can deny a trade.
He can deny a trade.
He can deny that.
Exactly. And you mentioned Alex Caruso, that'll be a nice fit. But another guy that they can go out there and target as well is your former 76, and that's Matisse Thybulle. I feel like he'll be a pretty good fit with the Suns. Defensive-minded guy.
That's a good one.
He's become a better shooter since he's been with the Trailblazers. So and he's only making $10 million a year. But as you mentioned, it's tricky from a contract standpoint. They extended Grayson Allen. Who are you going to give up to get him?
Right.
You got Nurkic. It's interesting, man. They got some things to figure out.
I feel like Nurkic has to go. I feel like he has to go. You talked about the offensive identity of the team. You got to get a rebounding, big defending center in there, right? A guy that can just focus on defense and rebounding amongst the scoring. So I think Nurkic is definitely a candidate to go there. But it's interesting, man. Royce O'Neal was one of their better players. Are they going to be able to retain him, keep him on the roster? It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but the Suns have a lot of questions going into next year. Let's talk about the Lakers just a little bit because we did forget last week. That was my fault. You brought it up to me before the show. I forgot to bring it into the segments last week, but Darvin Ham gets let go as well. And where I want to start with this, I mentioned this to you before the show, so I hope you've thought about it a little bit. But if we know the Suns have already hired Budenholzer, but if you were Mike Budenholzer, for example, would you have preferred the Phoenix Suns with KD, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, or would you have preferred the Lakers with potentially LeBron James, AD, so on and so forth there? Which one of those teams do you think you would have leaned towards if you were Mike Budenholzer or any top candidate for a head coaching gig right now?
I would definitely go to Suns. Go to the Suns. Not even close, man. I wouldn't. No way in hell I would coach the Lakers, bro. That toxic place, like, it starts with the fans,
That's
bro. Like, I
fair.
mean,
That's fair.
like the past 5 years, it's been tough playing for LA, man. I mean, those guys that see you death threats. I mean, they'll threaten your family. Like some of the things those guys say in the comments, like it's just crazy. But yeah, Mike Budenholzer definitely made the right choice going to the Suns, and I definitely would have done the
Yeah.
same thing, man.
Because LeBron might leave. Like, there was speculation that you saw him at the Cavs Celtics game last night, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he's going to Cleveland. He's definitely not going to Boston, but Bronny James, does that have an impact on where he's going to go? Like, there's a lot of factors there, a lot of uncertainty. But yeah, this is fair as well. You know, the Lakers are just not going to sit on their hands. They're going to try to go out, star hunt, try to improve the team. They're going to try to make it a contender as soon as possible. But when you're comparing it to the Suns, I don't know. It is interesting because of the Lakers. They've been together. Some of those guys have been there a little bit longer together. Yeah. But I think you just take the unpredictability of the Phoenix Suns, I guess, over the predictability of the Lakers in a sense. But if LeBron signs back, I mean, it makes it a much better location to go to. Still have am I correct here? The Lakers still haven't hired a coach. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I believe I have not seen anything about that.
You said did they have what?
Did the Lakers hire a coach yet? They did not.
Oh no,
right?
no. I think they're in the final stages. I know I seen JJ Redick. I think Byron Scott and another guy, but I think they're in the final stages.
That's interesting.
It's interesting, bro. I hope JJ don't take it. You know, I love for him to be an analyst instead. But hey, it's interesting, man.
Yeah, and you know it's like you said earlier. As a Duke guy, like JJ Redick, Hall of Fame Duke player, man. I want him to be a head coach in the NBA, but you mentioned the pressure that comes with LA, and a rookie head coach, no. Like, no way, bro. No. You can't. Like, JJ Redick, no. Like, Charlotte Hornets,
where
there's no pressure. You can grow with that team and develop them in your own way. Yeah, but with all the pressure in LA, you mentioned death threat. Yeah, it got crazy for Darvin Ham out there, man.
Like, I started to feel bad for them, man. But while we on coaches, though, like, I'm glad I thought about this. But
what's up?
Would you label Kevin Durant as a coach killer? Because think about it. The past 5 seasons, go back to Brooklyn, Steve Nash, Jacques Vaughn, Monty Williams, and now Frank Vogel. That's 4 coaches in the past, 5, 6 seasons? So would you label Kevin Durant as a coach killer, you know?
There's something in the water with Kevin Durant. Like, there's something there that is just not connecting, right? Like,
yeah,
you mentioned Brooklyn, ended in a disaster. Yeah. And then now in Phoenix, it's not going great, bro. It's not. And I don't know. It's like Kevin Durant is such a great player. When you watch him play, you watch him play, and there's no way he can be the reason why this team's losing. But everywhere he's gone outside of Golden State, underachieved. Teams have been blown up. And what are the Suns really trending towards if they don't get out of the first round next year?
Tough decisions, man.
They're getting blown up. Devin Booker might not be there. Is that fair? Or is Devin Booker a lifer son? Is he a son for life?
Depends. It
really depends on success next year. That's
it really does, man. Yeah. I thought Westbrook was a Thunder for life, so hey, you never know.
Hey, it is crazy. It's going to be interesting to see where the Suns go this offseason. You got Mike Budenholzer. How did they decide to fill out the roster with his scheme and what he likes to do there? But we'll see who the Lakers end up hiring. It's going to come with a ton of pressure. So it probably does need to be someone like a Byron Scott, someone that has done it before, has the experience. Yeah. They got to get a veteran in there, I would say, from the head coaching spot. But let's talk about some of the action from last night. Let's talk about some of the current action in the NBA playoffs. We had two big games last night. First game we're going to talk about, the Celtics and the Cavs, man. This ends up being a fairly close game, relatively close game, even without D. Mitch in the lineup. How surprised, first of all, were you to see D. Mitch out for this game?
I honestly wasn't too surprised because he's been carrying those guys. He's been carrying the load offensively, man. I mean, Garland, LeVert, Max, those guys couldn't just step up and help the man. So it really was no surprise that he missed that game because he was already playing on a bad health. So yeah, it really wasn't much of a shock, you know.
This is what I really want to ask you. Where are you at with the Celtics right now? How do you feel about them? They're up 3-1 against the Cavs, but a 7-point victory against the Cavs without D. Mitch, a loss at home to the Cavs with D. Mitch going off in your building.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum's interviews. I mean, I'm a Duke fan. I try with this dude, but his interviews are horrible. His answers are horrible. The things that he says out of his mouth. So, like, where are you with Boston? Are they still like this overwhelming favorite?
They should definitely. I think they said a favorite to come out the East at least, not to win the championship. Yeah. I don't know about
Maybe
that.
They're not favorite in the first place.
It's a guy that wears the number 15 over there in Denver that he just had to remind some guys 2 games in a row, but he's still about this. So I say they definitely said a favorite to come out the East on the list, but to win the chip, that's why I gotta slow my brakes right now. So yeah, but I understand what you're saying though. Like with the Tatum, I did catch on to some of the stuff he was saying in the post game conference or whatever. But I think it's just like frustration within himself. Like as me you talked about it, like his shooting splits has been terrible, man. Like you start to wonder, like when will he ever get it going? On a more efficient rate or whatever. Because like the numbers is there. He's giving you like what 23, 24 points per game. Then like 10 rebounds. I gotta give him his credit. He's been rebounding heck out the ball and playmaking, but it just the shooting splits all across the board has been like kind of bad. So they definitely should be the favorites to come out the East though. What do you have those guys though? What are you?
No, I do agree with you. I think favorites to come out of the East, especially with the Knicks, like they're looking tired against Indiana. We'll talk about that tonight. Yeah. But it's the Cavs and then it's the Knicks and the Pacers, right? Like the Knicks without OG Anunoby, the Knicks without Julius Randle, or the Pacers who, by all means, playing out of their minds tonight. And we'll talk about that game in a little while, but do you really expect either of those teams to beat the Boston Celtics? And then we can go to the Cavs, obviously. So when it comes down to it, it does come down to the Western Conference. And I think if you're a Celtics fan, what you can hope for is that these Western Conference teams just beat the hell out of each other, right? Like OKC and Dallas, they go 7 games. And then Denver and Minnesota, they go 7 games as well. Because I honestly think, the winner of Denver and Minnesota, I think they're going to the finals. So that's just where my head is at right now, regardless.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So then when I go that route, I would take probably Minnesota or Denver over the Boston Celtics right now with the uncertainties, with the Kristaps Porzingis injury, right?
Right.
But with that being said, I do agree with you. I think they still have to be the favorite in the East. Even with a close victory last night, like I sliced that up a little bit, but those happen. It's just part of the game. Max Strus hits like 5+ threes last night. So it was a little bit of a one-off. And Jason Tatum did have a little bit of a bounce-back game with 33, 11, and 5. So you mentioned it. He's doing it in other departments, rebounding, defense, stuff like that. Yeah. This Celtics team is still really good. Derek White hasn't played up to his level the last few games. You got a Drew Holiday game last game. Jaylen Brown, the list goes on. Tatum says he doesn't have a super team. I think he does, but to his point, we got to see where this team goes.
Yeah.
No, but great game last night, nonetheless. Good battle from Cleveland. Where are you at with the Cleveland Cavaliers going forward? I don't obviously think they're going to win this series, but if you're Donovan Mitchell, how do you feel about the Cleveland Cavaliers? Are you considering staying there, or are you off that at this point?
It really depends, man. Like Garland had a pretty good game last night as well,
He did.
too.
He
Yeah,
did.
so it's like interesting. Like if Garland had a pretty good game last night, like why can't he do this with Mitchell? So that's what
Garland had 30 last night.
that's where the elephant in the room comes in. That like can
Yeah.
these two coexist together as like a top backcourt in the NBA? But I think that you should probably try to explore the move Garland. I think I talked about it last episode. If I'm Mitchell, like I wouldn't be in a rush to just leave. Like see what direction the front office want to head in, and like
Yeah.
see if
That's a
they
good
get
point.
like better pieces around him. You know, keep Mobley. Maybe test the market for both Garland and Mobley. And Allen, and see what you can do
Yeah.
for those guys. But yeah, if I'm Mitchell, I just honestly just stay. I wouldn't be in a rush to leave, man.
Because I think that's a great point. Like, just be patient and see where the organization is going to go. Like, it's a great point. It's part of being an adult.
Yeah.
I think we've been so like desensitized to like people demanding trades out of places to where now we just think that D Mitch he's just gonna get his ass out of Cleveland, and maybe he doesn't, man. Maybe he does like his image. Maybe he does want to keep like a positive non-ring chasing image to himself. Because obviously the rumors have been around New York City with the Knicks, Miami with the Heat, right? And these are teams that are established. So like you're gonna get that narrative about you, jumping teams, Utah to Cleveland, then forcing your way to, Miami or New York.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna have those conversations about your character put out there. It's just natural. But no, that's a good point. Maybe he's just patient. Maybe he's patient and waits it out in Cleveland. If they trade Darius Garland, I'm interested to see what they could get back for Garland. Because he had a great game last night. He was like 4 for 13 from the 3-point line, but still a good game for Garland. But what is his value? Like I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah.
We got another series that transpired last night. This one is probably the more exciting one. Had a pretty great finish to it, I would say, when you talk about SGA's second half last night. But this OKC Dallas series, man, this has been pretty legit to start. Let's start there. What are your thoughts on this series so far? What is the vibe that you're getting from these teams? Like, who do you feel like is in control right now at 2-2?
I really don't know, man. Like I don't know who's in control. I mean, the Mavericks, they had it last night. They just Luka. Well, Kyrie struggled for sure. But like PJ Washington, I gotta give him his credit. He's been stepping it up.
He's been hooping.
Yeah, I think he averaged like close to 20 in this series, if I'm not mistaken. But
he had 21 and 12 last night.
Yeah, he's been balling, man.
5 3-pointers in that game, man. God.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Like I don't know, like who's in control, man. Like this could go either ways. Like Game 7, that's the vibe it's giving me right now. Like,
yeah, I agree with that. It's gonna go 7. Because you have this OKC team that is like young, but I mean that's a grown up win last night in Dallas.
That's
right?
A big time win, man.
That's a big time W to not go down 3-1. Like it's literally how you stay alive, and that is an MVP level performance from SGA. He had 34, 8, and 5 last night, man. And a lot of that action was in the second half.
Yeah, in the fourth, he got it done, man. He was balling.
SGA, where does SGA rank on like your top players in the NBA? Is he top 5, top 3? Where does he rank for you?
Top 10 for sure, like top 7 for sure.
Top 7?
Yeah, top 7, yeah, easily. Yeah,
I think you got to keep it in perspective. You can't just jump the gun on 1 season, 2 seasons, I guess, right now, because he averaged. I want to say he's averaged 30 points his last season.
I think he averaged 30
or close to.
He led I think Joel led the league in points per game last season.
Yeah, but I think SGA did take the nod.
I think he did average 30 though. MVP, SGA, haha.
Hey, the thing is, Jokic been hooping too, so it's
Yeah.
it's
The
not that
Joker
type of conversation, but
play the Joker theme song. They forgot about Dre, man. They forgot about how good the Joker was, man. He had to
yeah,
remind those guys.
back-to-back seasons for SGA. He averaged 31 last year. He averaged 30 this year. 2 years before that, 24 and 24. So this dude is on the uprise. But yeah, I think top 7. Give respect to the elders in a sense as well, the guys that have been doing it for
Yeah.
years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, TR agrees with you. What's up, TR? Appreciate you tapping in. What's good with you?
What's
He says
good,
top
TR?
7 is a great range for
Yeah, I say
SGA.
top 7 easy. Like now, if you were to like ask like point guard ranks, like you could easily say top 3 for sure.
What? It's him, Luca.
Luca.
Who's your third?
I don't
Steph.
want to be biased here, you know. Yeah, Steph, you know. Yeah, Steph. Yeah, Steph. Like,
I feel you. You didn't want to jump the gun, but like,
yeah, I had
Steph
to
is
think
still
for a
like
minute
that.
before I easily just said that, you know.
Steph is still like that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
for
I
sure.
would agree there, man. It's fun to watch SGA play. Jalen Brunson, another guy coming up in the ranks. Tyrese Maxey,
Yeah.
those guys, like
Yeah,
those younger
Halliburton.
guys. Tyrese
Yeah,
Halliburton, those guys are coming.
yeah, they
But
coming.
I think SGA is on a little bit of a different tier right now. So
Yeah, for sure.
um, I tend to agree with you, man. What more does he got to do? Yeah, what more does he have to do to win MVP though? Like number 1 seed, I think he was the highest scorer in the league this year per game. Um, he plays so much like Kobe.
It's so tough, bro. Because you say like, what else? What more do he have to do? Like, you can say the same for Tatum too. Like, you know, like having the number 1 seed in the East, and you know, like it's tough, man. Like,
That's fair. That's fair. Hunter's checking in. Appreciate you tapping in, brother.
what's good, Hunter? It's
Yeah.
tough,
So
bro.
I'm with you. I'm with you. SGA has been incredible this season so far. Luca, 6 for 20 last night from the field, but a
Hmm.
triple double. Like Luca, like I don't know. I know he's beat up right now. I know.
Yeah,
Kyrie
true.
has a horrible night last night. It's interesting. I'm interested to see how the Dallas Mavericks bounce back tonight, or not tonight. Excuse me, tomorrow night I
Yeah,
should say, in the
tomorrow.
next game, in OKC. That's something
Yeah.
interesting to point out. The next game is going to be in Oklahoma City. Where are you leaning towards in this series? I guess like if you had to pick a winner right now.
Well, if they were to go 7 games, the game would be at OKC
It would.
Arena. Oh man.
SGA healthier, playing better than Luca right
I'm not
now.
gonna lie, man. Originally I had the Mavericks winning this series, but last night was a huge win, man. Like momentum change, you know, just how we seen with the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. But we'll get into that. But
Yeah.
I think it's leaning towards the Thunder, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like that was a huge win. Not to go down 3-1, that's huge.
Yeah, I think in this case, I think you're right because when you get that W to even the series back at 2-2, even though, whatever, you lost one at home in OKC, to even it back up in Dallas, you don't let them get ahead going back to OKC, you're now back in the driver's seat, right? Like, and that's kind of where I'm at as well, man. I'm interested to see what this young OKC team can do. Outside of SGA, I am just curious here. Outside of SGA, who have you been most impressed with from the Oklahoma City Thunder?
Most impressed. I will say this: I love their depth because they got a lot of good players off the bench. Like you really don't know who can give you 10 here and there. Like I think the same Wiggins get them 16 in a game this
Yeah, I
series.
think that was game 3.
Yeah, Isaiah Joe, he's been pretty good. Even Jalen Williams, he provide you solid minutes. But I think it's really like a toss up, maybe between Chet and then J Dub. But I think I had to give it to like J Dub. Yeah, I give it to J
Yeah,
Dub.
his toughness, man, his mentality is different. Like he has something special in him. He's not like the most like skilled like scorer per se, but he's physical, he's athletic. And he can score. I don't mean to undersell him there. Like, he can score the rock. Like, he
Yeah,
is
he
a
can
very,
score.
very good player, but it's his mentality more than anything that I love from him. Lou Dort, man. Lou Dort has shown me some stuff this season too.
Yeah,
Lockdown defender, hitting the tray ball consistently. That's a thing with this Thunder team. They have nothing to lose. Like, this is a young team. They have plenty of years ahead of them to go out there and try to win a chance. Of course, you always want to win in the moment. It's not to say they're coming out with any less intensity, but I think they can almost play looser than, say, like a Luka Doncic or a Kyrie Irving, who are, a little bit later. Not Luka so much, but Kyrie Irving definitely a little bit later in his career. A little bit more pressure comes with that, I feel like. So I feel like OKC is going to be able to play a little more loose down the stretch. Only thing they have to lose is MVP, apparently. Darius got the jokes tonight. He's got the jokes. Let's get into tonight's action, my man. We got the Pacers and the Knicks, 2-2 coming into this one. New York is a 1.5-point favorite at home in the Garden. Let's start right here in the Eastern Conference, man. Pacers Knicks. The Knicks looked dog tired last game. They got blown out in Indiana. They got ran into the ground. No OG Anunoby right now. No Julius Randle. A bunch of injuries racking up. Bogdanovich, Mitchell Robinson. I mean, you can keep going with some of the guys that are missing here. Yeah. Where are you at with this series, man, going into this game tonight? How are you feeling? Let's start on the Knicks side because they're the ones in question after game 4. Where are you at with the Knicks right now? What are your feelings on them?
Yeah, man, you hit it on the head. Like the minutes, I think it's starting like to catch up to them, man. The heavy minutes that those guys have been playing, and if OG is unavailable again tonight, that's a huge loss. I mean, a guy who can guard both Halliburton and Pascal Siakam. But yeah, man, it's interesting to see like how they go forward, like with the rotations. Because I seen they inserted Alec Burks, and he's been giving them like offensive burst
Give
off the
them a little
bench.
juice.
Yeah, I think he had like what 17 last game or whatever. So it's interesting to see like how he gonna look tonight. Because I mean, although like OG known for his defense, he has been giving those guys some offense as well. So
OG is out tonight from what I'm seeing on ESPN. So he
yeah.
is out for this game.
Man, that's huge, man. I mean, the Knicks. So they go with Precious or True starting, right?
Yeah, that's been the matchup because you're gonna have to match up with Siakam and Miles Turner, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see like how they approach things, man. Because Bogdanovich, he's out as well, right?
Bogdanovich is out. So last game, these are the players that mainly played in game 4. Precious, as you mentioned, starting with the regular starting 5, Hartenstein, Brunson, Hart, DiVincenzo. Then you had Miles McBride getting the most minutes off the bench. So he was playing kind of that 6-man role. Alec Burks next in line, Jericho Sims, Shake Milton. I mean, they were getting into their rotation for real. They were getting into some of that depth for real.
Was it a blowout?
It was a blowout.
Yeah,
so it'll be interesting to see how deep how deep Thibodeau goes with this roster right now.
Yeah,
but those are some of the guys getting the minutes.
I think it's time like to dive into like at least 9 players, bro. At least. Yeah. I think it's time, man.
I'm trying. So Sims, I think you have to play with Mitchell Robinson out right now. Another big man.
You got it. And yeah, another.
Miles McBride is automatic. He's been playing for them this whole time. Alec Burks, obviously a spark plug.
Yeah.
Outside of that, you got Diakite. He played 9 minutes last game. You had Jeffries, who played 13 minutes. And then Shake Milton, who played 15 minutes. Shake, I got a special place in my heart for Shake Milton. He could get some minutes on my roster.
I was just gonna say, man, what happened to Shake, man? Like, wow.
I don't know, bro. Like, I like Shake. I like Shake when he was in Philly. I think he can light it up when he gets the opportunity. He can handle the ball. It's been interesting. In Minnesota, it made a little bit of sense just because they have so much depth out there. Like, yeah, he's not getting on the court, but I guess it's the same thing here. Like Shake or Miles McBride. Miles McBride gives you more of that legitimate shooting threat.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shake is getting minutes for me tonight. To make it clear here, yeah, Shake's getting minutes, and I think you have to, like you said. The Pacers though, what
Pacers,
have you like from them, man? Because they've
Pacers and
been
7,
able
man.
to impose their will on this team in the last 2 games.
I mean, what a shot Andrew Nimbar hit there tonight, man. That was
That was
tough,
game
man.
3.
Yeah, that was deep.
That was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cold blood. The crazy part, he looked surprised that he made it too.
he did, yeah. But yeah, man, I had the Pacers and 7 original, still sticking with that. But yeah, man, I just love what I've been saying for Tyrese Halliburton, man. He's been getting
Yeah.
right, being more consistent offensively, just going out there. I would love to see Pascal say I can get back in that attack mode
Yeah.
offensively because I feel like he's been kind of going downhill the past couple plus
Since the
games.
first round, right?
Yeah, like I don't know what's going on with him, so hopefully he can get back right. But yeah, man, just Ben Shepherd coming off the bench, giving those guys some. So yeah, I love what I've been seeing for Indiana, man.
No, that's a good call on Halliburton because he's been on a little bit of a heater in the
Yeah,
last
he's been
3
relevant.
games. 34 points in that game 2 in New York. He had 7 threes in that game.
Yeah,
Game 3, 35 points, 7 assists, 6 3-pointers made in that game. And then this last game, 20 points, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, and 4 threes made. So he's shooting the ball a lot better, a lot more confidently.
yeah,
To your point, Miles Turner, man, he's been showing me something too. I won't lie to you. Like,
yeah.
he's been giving them
Man.
some consistent scoring, some consistent leadership, defense. It's funny, man. I was just watching their team the other night, and I know it's because the Sixers played them in the first round. They played the Knicks, so I get this like direct reflection of another team playing the Knicks in the second round. So
Yeah,
immediately I asked myself, like, why are the Pacers like having success right now, right? And I'm just looking at guys like Aaron Nesmith and Andrew Nimhard and some of these just role players, like to the simplest form, and like that's obviously what the Sixers were missing playing against a team like the Knicks.
yeah. The
But it
others.
is interesting to see this Indiana team and how they're playing out. They look dangerous. Like when
Yeah,
you
they do.
when you look at the matchup with, let's say, Boston in the next round, who do you think is the better matchup for Boston? Indiana or New York?
Healthy. I would say the Knicks, man. Like
When they're
having OG,
healthy. But right
yeah,
now, with where they're at, in the style that the Pacers play, which is that up and down, they're trying to score 120 plus points a night.
yeah,
I feel like the Pacers are the better matchup for Boston. Maybe it doesn't matter. It probably doesn't.
yeah.
But I think that's where I'm at right now. But
Yeah, I
things
tend
change
to
through
agree.
these
Like,
series.
yeah, I tend to agree. Like you also mentioned, like with your Sixers, like it is the others that's helping. Like you mentioned, Neesmith,
Yeah.
Turner. He's giving you offense and defense.
Topping.
Um, Top and TJ McConnell, Ben Shepard, like
TJ
all
McConnell.
those
Yeah, we didn't
guys.
even talk about this man has been
Yeah,
taking over games at times.
yeah, all
Like,
these guys are contributing. Like meanwhile, you got guys like Tobias Harris over there, who's just he's a Sixer legend by any means. He's going to get that max.
in all the wrong ways, man.
Oh
Sixers
man,
legend
bro.
in all the wrong
He's going
ways.
to get that max deal from the Philadelphia 76ers this offseason. But
I'm gonna
but
have to
yeah,
stop doing
man.
shows with you if you keep you keep saying that shit.
It's
Putting
the
that in
others,
Daryl
bro.
Morey's head. No, it's not an option. He can't come
Yeah.
back. Not even
Even
on
if,
a minimum, let
even
alone
if
a
it's a
max.
lifetime minimum contract.
Nah,
No.
no. A random Sixers fact that I got today off of Twitter or X. Mac
Yeah.
McClung in the 6 games that he played for the Philadelphia 76ers drew more charges than Tobias Harris in his last 6 years with the 76ers.
Wow.
Mac McClung. Yeah. Did you even know that he played in a game for the Sixers?
He was on a two-way contract, right?
He drew more charges than Tobias Harris did. So he, in 6 games, drew more charges than Tobias Harris did in 6 years of full seasons as a starter.
How many was it?
It was 2.
Come on, man. Like, what are we doing here, bro? That's wild, bro. Poor Tobias Harris, man. I mean, hey, I think
Ah,
the Pistons. I think the Pistons are getting some bread, though. I feel like that'd be a
yeah,
good place for him to go.
they need
He
some
can,
leadership,
yeah,
sure,
like
some,
yeah, he
some
can mentor the young
experience.
guys. It is the end of the world, But yeah, it's interesting.
Darius said he was expecting 10 plus. Misleading ass stat. It's misleading,
Yeah,
but
get
it's
him,
not.
Darius.
Like
Get him.
it's just that Tobias Harris had no charges taken. Like that's the thing. The effort is not there from Tobias Harris, man. But tonight, let me get your prediction before we move on to the next game, the Western Conference heavyweight battle. Who do you got winning this Pacers Knicks game 5 in New York City?
I got the Pacers, man. I think they can get it done, man. I got the Pacers.
I do like the Pacers as well. I think, like you said at the beginning of the show, these game 5s, they swing series. I think this is the one that officially swings the series. I know the Knicks look gassed in game 4, but I do think the Pacers continue that trend tonight. I think the Knicks will look a lot better. It'll be closer, but I do think the Pacers are going to win. Darius said he's throwing 100 on the Pacers. Shout out to NBA to the Galaxy Pod. We don't promote the bets there, so yeah, that's not from us. Moving on to the Western Conference heavyweight battle. We have the Minnesota Timberwolves heading back to Denver to take on the Denver Nuggets 2-2 series. Obviously, the Nuggets won both in Minnesota. Timberwolves won both in Denver. How are you feeling going into this night? Jokic and Edwards, who's been the bigger star in the series for you?
Come on, man. You gonna ask me that, bro. I mean, it's tough. I mean, you
Off
can't go
top.
wrong, though. You can't go wrong with
No,
this.
you can't. You can't. It's
Because,
preference.
I mean, like, that man dropped 44 points while shooting 66% from the field, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it's tough, man. It's like,
He's built
to
different.
be
Yeah.
22 years old, like, doing this, man, it's crazy. But then you got Nikola Jokic on the other end, like, just, like,
Doing what he
20.
wants.
Yeah, just doing what he wants, like triple
Does
doubles,
whatever he
like
wants.
double doubles, like he's just doing it all. But it's tough, man. But I'm not gonna answer that question, but that's a trick question, man.
That's fine. That's fine. It is a trick question. I just wanted you to think about it nonetheless. But where are you at with this series going into tonight, man?
Pivotal game 5, because as me and you were discussing before the show, whoever goes on to win game 5 more than likely goes on to win the series. So
Yep.
I mean, the Nuggets is back at home. By the way, both teams have won on the road. Nobody has won at home yet.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. So um man, where am I at, man? I think the Nuggets may get this one, man. These past 2 games, Nikola Jokic has been giving the Timberwolves that work, man. Like, it's interesting because I seen like the bigs, they start to like pressure up on Jokic now. Like I seen Rudy Gobert, Nasri, and Cat like press
Yeah.
up. And they did a lot of dumb fouls by doing that. But yeah, I think the Nuggets got those guys' number this game for sure. Yeah, I got Denver.
It's interesting, right? Because you talk about the centers pressing up on Jokic, and what I immediately thought when you said that is Rudy Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year, multi-time
Yeah.
Defensive Player of the Year.
4 times, by
Yeah,
the way.
4 times, right? I was gonna say 3,
That's
4,
tied for
4,
most in NBA history.
and yet he's not the all-time assignment on Jokic. He doesn't get like full-time guarding Jokic responsibilities. You had Kendrick Perkins come out over the weekend. I believe it was after game 4 on Sunday.
Yeah.
And he says he doesn't understand how the defensive player of the year isn't guarding the MVP when they play the same positions. I think he's got a point, but I think
have a point. He
the
does.
point that's missed is that Kendrick Perkins voted for Rudy Gobert for Defensive Player of the Year this year.
Yeah, talk about it. I mean, I was thinking about this. Like, it's crazy to say. Like, man, I don't want to be biased here. Like, maybe you can agree to. It's crazy to think that as great as the defender Draymond Green is, he will retire with only one Defensive Player of the Year award.
It's
That's crazy.
versatile.
Like he is as great as this dude is defensively, he's only got one. Like that's crazy to me. Then Anthony Davis has 0. like as great as these guys is, and like Bam, like he hasn't gotten one yet. Like, what are we doing here, bro?
When is
Like,
he going to get one? Because
yeah, like when are they going
the
to get
thing
one?
now is like there's not going to be room for Bam because we have Victor Wembanyama who's
Exactly. You
going to
got
win it every year.
Victor and man, he yeah, Mobley, like all these young guys,
Yeah,
they're rising, man. Like
yeah.
it's tough, but yeah, man. Like you mentioned, like the Rudy Gobert assignment, because I you probably caught onto this too, but I seen like Nas Reed wave Rudy off, like I got him, and he was
Yeah, I
guarding the
did see
inbound.
that. That's funny you
Yeah,
brought that up. I did
I
see
was
that.
yeah, because I'm like,
And
whoa,
then
what's
he
going
and then he got
on?
cooked.
He got cooked. He did. He got cooked, man. He got cooked, man. But to be fair, though, to be fair, Nikola Jokic was cooking. Everybody that
Anybody.
was in front of
Yeah,
everybody that
yeah.
was in front of
To
him
be fair,
was
that's
getting
it's a
their
good
work.
point.
Everybody was getting their work, man. So to be fair, like, but yeah, it's interesting, man. But you can also look at it from this perspective, like, can you look it up real quick? Like, how many points did the Nuggets beat the Timberwolves by? Like, was it like 7 or something like that?
In this last game, it was 115 to 107, so 8 points.
So 8 points.
Lakers
So you
by.
can look at it from both perspectives. So let's look at it from the Timberwolves perspective. Like, okay, you lost. You only lost by 8 points,
Yeah,
while your second best player shot terrible from the field. Carl
yeah,
Town shot 5 of 18. So let's say if you were to make at least half of those shots, it would have probably been a different outcome.
yeah.
While on the flip side of that, you got the Nuggets who only won by 8, while their arguably third best player MPJ only shot the ball 4 times. So it's like you can look at it from both perspectives. So
Nah, that is a good point because you look at games 1 and 2 in Denver. Carl Anthony Towns played lights out in those games. You had Carl
yeah.
Anthony Towns in game 1, 20 points on 8 for 13 shooting. Game 2, you had 27 points, 12 rebounds, 10 for 15 shooting. Then you
Man.
get to game 3, you get to the 14 points, the little bit of foul trouble, the only 7 shots in game 3. So I'm not going to penalize him, but he just didn't get involved in that game. Then
Yeah.
game 4, you already talked about the miserable game he had in game 4. So he seems to be an X factor, but then you go to the other side and you look, and like you said, Michael Porter Jr., I mean, Jamal Murray's been having a tough time this series. He had a decent game last game for sure. He shot the ball a lot better.
Yeah.
But all of those guys have been having a little bit of a struggle in a sense. That being said, Aaron Gordon is balling right now. Second best player
Man.
on that Nuggets team
That
right now, type
man.
shit
That
with
man
Aaron
is a
Gordon, man.
dog, man. Like I get that man. Like the ultimate praise. Like you talk about the way he's like revived his career as a lottery pick. Like it's sort of like
Yeah,
how we did with
I
Andrew
respect
Wiggins,
that.
when he came over, how we
Yeah,
like shifted him into this like two-way player. Man, Aaron Gordon is a dog, man. Cause it's tough with Denver. Like you can say, well, we're gonna live with Gordon if he hit threes. He's
yeah,
you're gonna live with it, but it's tough in saying that. Like when he's hitting threes, and then you got Murray and Nikola Jokic playing the way they have been playing. And by the way, you can't forget MPJ. Like it's tough. It's a tough team, man. Like,
it
and by
is,
the way,
man.
Caldwell Pope, I don't think he has found the rhythm yet, neither. Like,
No,
so it's a
only
scary
3
sight, man.
points in that last game. Let's check out Caldwell Pope because he is a big part of that. Yeah, 3, 4, and 6. He had one game with double digits in this series. It's interesting because what we're describing is a really good matchup, right? Like
Yeah.
guys on both sides that haven't necessarily gotten off in a game or two are due for big games, and that's from both sides, which is to Darius's point here. Yeah, I think it's going 7, and I think for it to go
Yeah, I think
7,
it's going seven
the
for sure.
Nuggets win tonight. Like I'm kind of leaning that way just to go with like the trend. Somebody's due for a home win.
Yeah,
That's the
somebody
real
is.
truth.
I
Like
think I think this only happened like 8 times ever in NBA history where
the
neither
opposite.
team
Yeah,
like in 4 games has won at
DOA.
home. So yeah, it's
No,
interesting
it
because
is
man,
interesting.
like I seen the Timberwolves, they had like a gigantic lineup out there. They had Anthony Edwards, McDaniels, Nas Reed, Cat, and Rudy. I was like, man, that's a tall lineup.
Exactly. How are you scoring on that line, like with that type of size and length? Let me ask you this. So we both have the Denver Nuggets winning tonight.
Yeah.
who is the X factor? So basically, anybody outside of Nikola Jokic on that team, who do you think has a game tonight?
You know what, man? I gotta give Justin Holiday a lot of credit because these past 2 games he has been shooting the ball very well. He's been coming out the bench
With
providing
limited
the spark.
opportunity.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
been doing his thing, but you know what? I'm gonna go on a limb and say KCP going to be the X factor tonight. I think he has probably one of his best game in his playoffs thus far. Like he getting it done on both ends, just knocking down his shots at a consistent rate. So yeah, I'm going to go KCP, man.
I like that. I like that. I feel like KCP is due for
Yeah,
a
he's
game,
due for
right?
one. Yeah,
Where he
yeah,
gets hot from the 3-point line. Maybe it's Jokic feeding him in the corners, whatever the case may be. Because I think, coming out of this game, and Darius brings up another great candidate, MPJ. They
yeah.
similar
MPJ. Yeah,
players in a sense, right? Like they're going to be at the 3-point line. They're going to be hitting some shots from out there. So which one of those guys gets hot? And one of those guys are due, if not both of them are
yeah,
due.
yeah, for
You had
sure. I
Aaron
mean,
Gordon. Aaron Gordon last game, 27, 7 and 6, 11 for 12. I mean, yeah, somebody
yeah, he
outside of him
just
and Jokic is due.
yeah. I say like KCP, he can get a pass too, cause he does have the assignment to guard Anthony Edwards, and that shit can eat your fucking legs, man. So yeah, I mean he gets a pass by any means if he don't have a game.
If the Timberwolves were to win, who would need to step up tonight? Is Cat that automatic answer
Yeah,
for
yeah,
you?
for sure, man. He has
Yeah,
to, but I will say this, like that's the obvious answer. But Rudy Gobert has to step it up too. Like, I
yeah,
mean, you can't be the defense player of the year and Nikola Jokic is doing this to you. As great as the Joker is, you have to remind yourself like you're the reigning defense player of the year, bro. Like you got to lock in, do what you got to do. F what the coach saying, I got this, So
yeah.
yeah, it's a mixture between Cat and Rudy for sure.
No, I do tend to agree with you. I think somebody else that is not necessarily due for a big game, but just due for a good shooting night, a highly impactful game. Jaden McDaniels is another guy that I feel like has
Yeah,
been fairly quiet, but he's more of that similar to Rudy, that defensive impact type of player.
yeah,
It's going to be interesting, man. Nas Reed off the bench, he can come out and give you 20 on a given night. He can get hot
yeah,
from the field. So got a lot of options in this series. Is this is the best series of round 2 in your opinion?
yeah, for sure, yeah.
It's between this one and probably
The
OKC
Thunder, yeah, the
Dallas.
Thunder and the
Yeah.
man, yeah, yeah, for sure.
Mm. Man, I'm excited for tonight. I'm excited for
Yeah, I'm
tonight, bro.
excited, man. I'm definitely going to tune into that.
Do you have anything else for us tonight that you want to get into before we link up later in this week, my man?
To be honest, man, that's really it. By the time we link up again, I think that um the second round of the playoffs will be coming to an end. Yeah,
We got some WNBA tonight as well, man, going on right now. Kicked off before the show, but we'll have to
yeah,
dive into that a little bit more
yeah.
over the summer with a little bit of downtime. I'm sure it'll still be busy, with trades and free
Yeah.
agency
I
and
try not
everything.
to get. I try not to get too excited. Talking about trades involving my team, but yeah, I get what you're saying, man. Yeah.
Hey, are y'all keeping Klay Thompson this summer?
I mean, I would. I
I'm hearing a
mean, I
lot of
would hope
rumors.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would hope so. I feel like it's on the right to ride out in the sunset with the core, the big three. So
Yeah.
yeah,
We'll see. That's something we'll have to
yeah.
discuss. Maybe top landing spots for Klay Thompson.
Come on, man.
Maybe Philly's in the top
Come
5
on.
of that.
I will say this though: if he do go to your team, I wouldn't be too mad at it because hey, we've been linking up doing this thing, so I know he
Exactly.
in
At
good
least you can
hands.
still
So
follow
yeah,
him.
I still be following him. I was still going to follow him regardless, but
Yeah.
I'd definitely be following him if he, go to the Sixers. But so
He could go to the Sixers. He might start going off again, man, with that type
yeah,
of
he might. I
spacing with
mean,
Joel and Maxey.
yeah. If I will say this though, before we get off here, like if it's a sign and trade for Tobias Harris, I mean, I would probably, maybe you wouldn't see me anymore, but
We're
no
going
way,
live.
man.
We're going live if that trade goes down. Sign and trade. Klay
Hell
Thompson and
no, bro.
Tobias. They
Hell
both get
no.
max contracts.
I will say this though, if that does happen, I'm sure we're going to move Tobias on another deal though. But so no way we keep him.
You
No
have
way.
to hope. You have to
I
hope
would hope. Yeah. I would have to hope. Yeah.
Oh man, it's going to be a crazy off season, but we got plenty of
Yeah, we're gonna be
playoff
covering
basketball.
everything, man. We're gonna
Yeah,
be
we'll
covering
get
everything.
into it all, man. But we will be linking up later on this week. Keep an eye on our social media pages to find out exactly when and where. It's all a matter of when each of us is free and we can get that link up together. But we will definitely be linking up in the second half of the week here to discuss more of the NBA playoff action and any other news that tends to drop. Because as soon as some of these teams get eliminated in the second round, their coach is going out the door. So
somebody got to take the blame, man. When everything going good, it's all good, but when you get put out the playoffs, man, it's time for a change.
You already know. I'm that's something for next show. Maybe which one of these coaches remaining are on the hot seat the most. Maybe that's a topic for next show, but that is going to be it for this episode of NBA to the Galaxy Pod, featuring my man here, Slim, at RTR30111 on Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it. And you can find me, Scotty, at Scotty Drown. Be sure to tap in, hit the subscribe button on the channel you're watching, and hit the like button to help us grow. Thank you to Darius, everybody, Hunter, TR, everybody that tapped in today. Thank you guys for getting involved in the comments, and be sure to tap in for the next show. And turn the notifications on. It makes it easy for you. You're notified every time we go live. But for myself, for Slim, have a great rest of your night, everybody. Enjoy the NBA action, and we will see you soon. NBA to the Galaxy.